Good afternoon, good morning, Inspire and Empower Society. Good afternoon, good morning. Sorry for my lateness. I'm going to see my energy is a little different, a little tired. So I was going to postpone it, but I said, nope. I set a date, I set a time. There may be someone or two waiting for me to come on to discuss the topic that I said I was going to discuss today at 1:30. So here I am, a little late, but I'm here. Today's topic is discipline and strength. It's going to be short and brief because I know it is a holiday weekend for a lot of people, and this is the time they spend with their family, go out and do cookout, shopping, et cetera, et cetera. Me, on the other hand, I'm trying to get some rest. So I'll probably look a little tired because I did just wake up. So anyways, I'm going to first talk about, I think we all can agree upon that discipline is a very hard thing to master. And we also can agree upon without discipline, you will see a lot of failures and setbacks in your life. I think we can all agree upon that. Before we start, I like to do definitions by way of Webster, or, one of those dictionaries, just to kind of put a definition out there for us, just so we can have something to base our discussion off of what we are agreeing discipline means for us. It can mean different things to different people, but we can agree that discipline is a set of values of consistency that allows us to achieve different goals, whatever those goals are. So let me first put the definition out there. I'm going to read it verbatim. So discipline by definition means to train oneself to do something in a controlled and a habitual way. It is a practice of self-control, the art of saying no to the wrong things so you can say yes to the right things. And again, without discipline, we can agree that our life would be scattered, right? Staying disciplined is what allow us, again, to achieve our goals, it allows us to be successful in this life. It allows us to be successful with things that we are trying to achieve, whether it's eating habits, whether it's education, whether it's financial. Having discipline is needed. And I always like to say discipline and consistency goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. When you are showing up consistently in different ways, you are forming and shaping discipline, and vice versa. When you are disciplined, you are being consistent in different areas of your life. So having discipline, like I said, we can agree upon is needed in order to be successful in life, or what we quote say is successful, meaning financial success, having your finances in order, having your eating habits in order, having your educational goals in order. You need discipline in your life to show up. And when you have discipline and you are showing yourself that you are able to achieve these different things in life, that's what creates your strength. That's what creates your resilience, because you're showing yourself that you're able to achieve these different things. So that is what builds up on your strength and on your character, because discipline is not just physical, it is mental and spiritual. Okay. So discipline requires a lot of sacrifice. Like I said, we can agree upon that as well. When you have discipline in your life, you are sacrificing some things. You are saying no to the wrong things so you can say yes to the right things. Example, if you are on a dietary journey of eating healthy, discipline will show up like saying no to eating something that you know is going to be bad for your body, some kind of fast food, some kind of greasy food, some kind of fried food. It's saying no to that so you can see the results in the future that will benefit your body. That's how discipline looks, saying no to the wrong things and saying yes to the right things. Financially, if you are setting out a goal to buy a house, to buy a car, to just become debt free, discipline will show up saying, no, I will not go on this trip. No, I will not buy this new purse and pair of shoes. I will sacrifice, again, sacrifice, that word sacrifice come up. I will sacrifice and say no to this. So I will say yes to, my financial goal. And we all can agree upon when you, like I said, when you have discipline, the end results is a beautiful thing. It's more than just a victory. It's building up that strength and that resilience within yourself, within your character. Excuse me. Excuse me. My throat's a little dry. Yeah. So yeah, discipline is definitely needed in your any aspect of life. And I think it's difficult because of the distractions that we have in the world that pulls us this way, that way, or another. It's sometimes our environment. It's sometimes, not having an accountability partner. And I think that's very important too, to try to, have an accountability partner. So when you are deviating away from the disciplined path that you should be on, your accountability partner can pull you back and say, hey, you know, your goal was this to be this way and you're going that way. So accountability partners is a good tool to have when you're trying to develop and master the art of discipline. Yeah. Sorry, my energy is so down. I really should have postponed this video, but like I said, I wanted to stick to the script, and here I am. But I'm gonna try to boost it up. Yeah. Sorry, I'm checking a chat message right here. Okay. Yeah, so that we talked about some of the challenges. Well, actually, we didn't talk about the challenges. Let's talk about some of the challenges of discipline. Discipline when it comes, if you're studying in education, it's saying no to the noise, no to the distractions, and saying I'm going to study today instead of going with the crowd who wants to go party, who wants to do whatever, knowing you have a test tomorrow morning. I guess we did talk about some of the challenges, what it looks like. That's what we talked about, what the challenges look like. So let's go a little bit into the benefits of discipline. The beauty of discipline is that it always pays you back more than what you expected. So we know with the discipline, we are able to achieve our goals and get to the destination with discipline. But like I said, the reward is always greater than what we expected it to be. Without discipline, you have no progress. So as you see yourself progress, this is when you, like I said, you build your character, you build that undeniable strength that you didn't think you had. So it's just like that's starting at the bottom of a mountain. You look up at the top and you're like, wow, I don't know if I can climb that. That self-doubt creeps in. But then when you do achieve it and you do climb it, it gives you a new confidence about yourself, a new perspective about yourself. It gives you that I can about yourself. So following through and that consistency builds a resilient character within yourself. And again, like I said, strength is not always found in the body. It's found in your mind and in your spirit. What do you think? And it all ties back. I like to tie everything back to your mindset. What are you telling yourself that you can do? When you start off saying that I can't, you're right now defeating your discipline, right? You're now right now defeating your consistency. Oh, I don't think I can do that. How many times I hear people say that, and I'm like, you're already telling yourself you can't do it before it even starts. So you're already defeated. Like, let's try to develop some consistency and discipline to see if you can achieve it. You never know how strong you are until you try it, right? So the discipline creates a willpower. Again, that willpower of saying I can and believing in yourself. That's why I always say the mindset, your thought process, what you're feeding yourself every day, what you're thinking, it plays a role into a lot of aspects of your life. Discipline and consistency being one of them. If you're already telling yourself self-sabotaging thoughts and not believing in yourself, you will be defeated. You will, probably lack discipline, or you'll start something and not finish. That's another question to pose. Why do so many people start things and don't finish them? What causes you to start a task, have the motivation in the beginning, but then the motivation dwindles away? And discipline, I think, is what keeps that motivation going. When you have the motivation and it's like go, 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 but you don't have the discipline, that's what I believe causes people to start a task or start a project and don't finish. They start off with motivation, but with lack of discipline causes them not to have it. But again, when you have a task or a goal and you complete it when in the beginning you didn't probably believe you can, that is going to give you so much strength and so much resilience to start something else. I know, for speaking from experience for myself, that is what gives me a lot of my drive. Well, that's what I should say put me, because I always had drive. I always had ambition. I feel like I always had some form of discipline. Now, granted, I lack discipline in a lot of things. I'm struggling with that daily. But I think the mindset, being conscious of it, being aware of your weakness and where you lack the discipline, help to form the things that you need to work on, because you can't fix something that you don't think is broken. You can't work on something that you don't think needs to be worked on. So you have to know your weaknesses. You have to know your weak areas and things that you need to brush up on in order to polish it and fix it. So again, for me, from my experience, what allowed me to create so much willpower is seeing things that I set my mind to and following through and achieving it. I usually get tunnel vision. I lock in on it, and outside noise do have distraction. Just like right now, I have a lot of outside noise. A lot of distractions on things that I am trying to progress and get done. However, I pump the brakes a little bit. Like, I didn't completely stop. I didn't completely throw it out the window, but sometimes you have to pump the brakes a little bit, reevaluate, reassess, and see how to move forward. You don't lose your discipline. You don't lose your sight. You don't lose your focus or your consistency. You just pump the brakes a little bit. So I just pump my brakes a little bit on things that I'm trying to do, but I will be back full throttle, I'm pretty sure, in no time, inshallah, God willing. But discipline, again, you got to develop that willpower to never quit, to keep going, even when things are cloudy, even when things don't seem clear in your path. You just don't quit. You keep going, okay? And that's what's going to create discipline, create consistency. Consistency creates discipline, and discipline creates consistency. I feel like they go hand in hand. Can't have one without the other. And again, both of those tied in is going to build up that strength that you need to continue thriving in life. Okay. Not surviving, thriving. We're going to focus on positive words. I don't like the word survive, I like thriving. You want to thrive. You will thrive in areas. And I feel like once you create discipline in one area and consistency, it trickles into other areas. So if your goal was to eat better, and have lose weight, whatever your dietary goal was. If you can conquer and gain up enough willpower and consistency to achieve that, it's going to give you that strength and resilience you need to tackle the next task, because you prove to yourself that you could do it in this area. And it's going to, like I said, it's a ripple effect. It'll go into the next area of your life, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's, working out, educational goals. It trickles into other aspects of your life. But the key is starting somewhere, building brick by brick. Some people have to go at a slower pace, which is totally fine. I really like slower pace, because I feel when you're going slow that you're not missing any steps in the journey and the process, and you're mastering each thing instead of rushing through it. Sometimes I have to learn how to slow down, because I feel like fast, because I'll just be wanting things to be done quickly and grow quickly. My analogy, I always have to point out my beautiful plants. I want to rush things. I want to grow, my pot and my plants faster than what it needs to be grown. There's a process. By the way, they are growing beautifully. I don't know if you look back into my April videos, you'll see that they were not blossoming this big. They are definitely thriving. Look at them. They are growing beautifully. They make me happy, so that's why I kind of point them out. Those are my babies. Yeah. So discipline at first, it does feel like, I don't want to say a punishment, but it does feel like a restriction. It does feel like, it feel like no, I don't want to say punishment. It just feels like it's something like holding you back, and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It feels dark sometimes. It feels alone. It's a lonely process because sometimes you're in it alone. If you don't have accountability partners, sometimes it's just you and your task, you and your goal, and nobody else there. It's just you. So it can feel lonely. It can feel dark, but with that consistency of doing it, it becomes easier. It's almost like, I like analogies. For me, I can compare it to going to the gym. When you first go to the gym, your body is sore. Your body is sore. You don't feel, your muscles are like, what's going on? So you're introducing something new to your body or new to your mind. And it's like, what is going on? This is not our norm. So it's going to naturally resist it and not like it and feel like it's a punishment, feel like it's a hard task, feel like it's a restraint, a restriction, when in reality it's not. It's building up strength. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. That's why I said it trickles into other areas of your life, because the more you do it in this area, the blueprint, the process, you understand what it takes, and you prove to yourself, I completed this, task, so I know I can complete this task. So the more tasks you complete, the more confident you become, because develop that I can attitude, I believe in myself attitude, because you achieved it. Now, if you never achieve nothing, or you keep starting things and never finish it, it's going to be hard to develop a confidence. It's going to be hard or challenging to develop the I can attitude, because you haven't proved to yourself that you can defeat that first goal, that first task, So just staying with it, being consistent. It may take others longer to achieve a task, to achieve a goal, and that's fine. Everybody's strengths and weaknesses are different. But the key, again, is learning thyself. You have to know your abilities. And discipline is not always, like, what is the word? What is the words I'm looking for here? I wrote it down so I didn't forget. My apologies. Anyways, it's not always, I know where I was going with it. I like to verbatim say stuff sometime. And I take notes so I won't forget the format that I wanted to use to make a point. So discipline is not always it's not always like, oh my gosh, what did I say? It's not like it's not an opportunity. It doesn't show up like opportunities. It doesn't show up like a gift. It's something that you within yourself, kind of piggyback on what I said. It's like something that within yourself develop to prove to yourself that you're able to achieve. It's not talent, it doesn't come from like your talent, because you could be talented in drawing, right? You could be talented in, I should say, designing platforms and, just different behind the scene things. But if you lack discipline, it's not going to mean anything, because it's just not just talent, it's beyond that. You have to show up every day. You have to put in the work, to build that confidence, like I said, and to show yourself that you're able to achieve these things. Sorry. Yeah. Again, I wanted to make this short and sweet. I'm definitely not going to make this a long video. It's not a very complicated topic. Everybody, like I said, when I started the first video, I said we all can agree, without discipline, without lack of discipline, you're not going to achieve goals. We can all agree that discipline is something that we need to do consistently on a daily basis if we're trying to achieve a financial goal, a dietary goal, an educational goal, a spiritual goal. And this is why I try to stay away from religion on this platform, because I know we have a lot of different religious backgrounds, and that's not what this is about. This is not me doing dawah. So if you don't hear me talking about Islam, that doesn't mean I'm not Muslim inside. Clearly I'm a Muslim, right? But since we're talking about discipline, I'm going to talk about the religion. And this is why I love Islam so much, because it teaches so much discipline in every aspect of life, spiritually for sure, because we are requiring it's obligatory for us to pray 5 times a day, so that right there builds up a consistency and a discipline to worship, our Lord on a daily basis, to practice good behavior, saying no to our desires. That's another form of discipline, saying no to what your flesh desires, what your cravings desires, whether it's a physical craving, a mental craving. It's saying no to those things and yes to the good things. And Islam shapes that for us. And even if we don't like it, it's a blueprint that we must follow. Once a year we have to be, I call it spiritual boot camp. We have to be disciplined to withhold food and drink for a substantial amount of time. And a lot of people always tell me, how do you do that? How is that possible? And I'm looking at them like, it's difficult and challenging at first, but again, with the consistency year after year after year, it becomes easier and easier, and it's not foreign to my body. So my body goes into, oh, it must be Ramadan. It's time to fast, shut down. Not saying that it's super easy, but the challenge becomes easier. It's the other things, staying away from and being consistent with that, is more of a challenge. The food and drink is the least of my challenges. But Islam definitely builds discipline and character, because all of it ties in hand in hand. Rick, okay. I don't really have much on the topic. I probably would have had more and been more in tune with it had I postponed it, but I just didn't want to postpone it. I felt like I was up, even I was just waking up. Now I'm waking up. It's time to shut down. I don't know if you could tell the difference, but yeah, I was just like waking up and I'm like slow-mo and like, oh my gosh, so I had to, for me, I have to feel the topic, which I do feel it, I feel what I'm talking. Like I said, it's a basic topic. It's very, very self-explanatory. Discipline, consistency builds up strength. Without discipline, you're going to see a lot of failures in your life, a lot of setbacks, a lot of repeated lessons because of lack of discipline. Ask me how I know, because I'm repeating lessons that I lack discipline in, but again, I know my weaknesses. I'm working on them. And I think that's another key is identifying your weaknesses, identifying what it is that you're weak at, what it is that you need more discipline and then focusing on that. Okay. Try to close out the noise, the distraction. Okay. Discipline is always going to ask you to silence excuses, procrastination, and to resist that instant gratification. Again, we want instant gratification. Like I want to see my plants instantly grow and not allow them the process they need to grow and flourish. We all like instant gratification because we live in a world where everything is instant gratification. It's fast. You touch this, boop, it's there. You send the money, instant gratification. I could send somebody a Zelle and they get the money in 5-10 seconds. Where before it was a process. We used to have to go to Western Union. I think that was our money transfer back in the day. We didn't have this instant gratification. So everything is instant gratification. So we have to learn to go through those processes, go through those feelings and emotions, because discipline hurts sometimes. It like I said, it's lonely sometimes because it's just you and yourself up against your goals, up against your challenge. But baby, when you achieve that and you see yourself through on that challenges, it's a beautiful thing. It builds up, like I said, that self-confidence that's needed in the world to achieve and ripple effect into other areas of your life. So I'm going to leave you guys with this little note. Like I said, it wasn't a big, broad topic to talk about. So I'm just going to close out. This might be my fastest 30. I think I even went over a little 30 minutes, but I got to learn how to shorten my videos. But I always feel like I don't want to miss anything, and I like to touch some of the stuff I say be verbatim. But anyways, I'm going to leave in closing with this. In order to achieve anything in life, you need discipline. That's a fact. In order to achieve anything in life, you need some form of consistency. That is a fact. Discipline builds strength and character. Discipline is not always about the physical, the muscle. It's about spiritual and mental. And one way that we can achieve that is find an accountability partner. Daily, have a daily goal set, writing things down that you want to achieve in life, putting it on paper, doing vision boards. This can kind of help you format that discipline, and trying to complete small tasks, because little by little becomes a lot. So if you're having trouble completing bigger tasks so you can get that gratification and that willpower and that strength that you need to complete other tasks, so you may need to complete and have discipline in smaller tasks. So that way you can build up and say, okay, I completed this, and then you move on to the next, build and build and build, brick by brick, okay? And again, always the mindset, always start off with a positive mindset of I can, not I can't, not seeing it as, oh my gosh, that's hard, because you're already internally doubting yourself and internally telling yourself you can't do it. Start off with I can do it. Start off with, okay, it may be challenging, but I got this, okay? And use your resources, use accountability partners. Mentors is very important. I have yet to find one that I actually work with one-on-one, but I will get there, to kind of help me achieve the things that I need to achieve. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys for today. You have a wonderful weekend. Well, I hope the weekend came to an end. I hope everybody had a good 3-4 day, whatever, your job allowed or your school allowed, weekend, and it was very prosperous and achieved the things that you needed to achieve and relax the way you needed to relax. I hope everybody experienced that. If not, take these last few hours to do so. Pamper yourself. Self-love is very important as well. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this little quick video on discipline and strength. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.